All right, I think we are on. Hey, today I wanted to do a quick update on my life. It's my third time recording this because I wasn't really happy of how I was expressing myself. So, this is for the few people who are interested in for the ride and for the journey, and I'm looking forward to hearing and being part of your journey and to listen to your stories as well. So this isn't for the majority, but for the few. I appreciate you for being willing and being open to see kind of my experience. So let me first say the past couple of months I've learned quite a lot of things in developing as a person. Time management is a super important skill. I still don't have it down, especially because in a dynamic setting where new things are popping out, new opportunities, then you kind of have to fit it in somehow. And it's also based upon how much responsibility you adopt in your life, you know? And it could be scary. And I think that's why a lot of people don't take responsibility for their duties, because oftentimes it's the path of minimum resistance. Another thing on the insight is you have to surround yourself with smart and ambitious people. And this comes from me being in a really bad place, probably like, I think now it's like 3 years ago, of addiction and just challenges. I was under a cave, living in a cave, drew my little fake circle of security, completely vulnerable at the time, and I felt secure, I was blindfolded willingly, but I didn't even recognize it until I decided to see what's out there, see the light. But oftentimes when you're going through some challenges, or you're struggling with addictions, it's so hard to even see the world that's out there. But being in an environment where there's people constantly working on cool projects, making an impact, that will obviously have an impact on you. And it's tough for those who don't see that don't have dreams, that don't have any desires of changing, because you get too comfortable. You really do get too comfortable. And I'm not saying comfort is at all bad, but personally, I think it serves me better in the long run and for the people around me if I take on challenges and responsibility. And why I say you have to surround yourself with smart people is because oftentimes they have contrarian views, and they have different views of looking at the world. It's not just because they have, they're different. That's not the reason why, but it's because it's that uniqueness and the ability that they have a strong conviction of perceiving the world differently from you can allow you to test your beliefs. And I just love hearing people challenging the status quo of what's the common, what's allowed. For example, I was having a conversation with a professor's assistant about blockchain technology as well as kind of AI, talking also about money. And when he was explaining to me that he was fascinated about blockchain in terms of not having money being controlled by an institution, an entity, but by a technology which allows two people to transfer value. I've heard that before, but to hear it again by him in a more of obviously like articulate way, and also the convictions why. I think that was just so beautiful. Of just like, yeah, that does sound interesting, and I could understand why you have such strong convictions on, and why this will be, this will have an impact on the financial system, let's say. And thus, yeah, no matter what, try to surround yourself with people you'd like to imbue and be like. And you could either have like two mindsets when it comes down to this. Number one is the poverty mindset. I still struggle with this, which is you look at other people doing better than you in academics. They have better grades, or they're working on cooler projects. They got a job that you'd also like. Whatever success, whatever domain and ideas you have of success, if they have it, obviously you may feel like insecure because you have also those ambitions, but you're not there right now. But they are, and that comparison, that really is a poison. And obviously the anecdote is gratitude, of being grateful for what you already have, that people are only dreaming, or what you in the past could only dream about. But we're constantly on this hedonic treadmill of like, we get adapted and then we chase the next new thing. And I still struggle with this. And you could be resentful and like, oh yeah, that person probably it's probably their parents, it's probably they have, it's maybe their race, maybe it's wealth, whatever justifications you make to make yourself feel better. It's that's not going to serve you well in the long run. And so the mindset that I want to completely transition to is the growth mindset. It's not a zero-sum game, but a positive-sum game where there's enough pie for everyone. You could view other people and be inspired. Like, whoa, this person was able to achieve that. That's absolutely amazing. Let me see what type of lessons that I could derive from that, and then try to implement it into my own. And that usually has a greater impact on literally everyone. I think it takes a lot of courage to adopt it, and it'll definitely be challenging, testing your ego as well. But in the long run, it will be better. I could guarantee you that. What else? So we talked about people. Did we talk about careers? Yeah, so let's talk about careers. I feel like I've talked about careers. I'm not sure. I'm looking at the time. We've already been talking for 8 minutes. But maybe not. It's also been like, this is the 3rd time I'm recording, so I'm not sure if I'm repeating myself, but I'll talk about it anyway. So usually within my major, there's usually 3 paths, which is most common, which is investment banking, consulting, or accounting. You could also go the teacher route as well. So those are the traditional path. And oftentimes, obviously there's going to be a hierarchy within these 4 domains, because people, like, we align within, we give values to different things, and by nature of valuing things, we're going to have a hierarchy. And I definitely seem to play that, like, I need to get into XYZ firm, and I think I'm just playing into the status scheme. But I think prestige is valuable in the sense that, number one, you get networks. So you get networks of really smart people working on cool things. Number 2, you are able to work on cool projects. So, if the firm has a lot of capital, then obviously you're going to be also, hopefully, being in that environment. And number 3, compensation. It's usually very, very high. And yeah, although these things are very shiny, I think it's, I hope when I make my decisions, it's not basically just upon these, but it's also about like what I making impact, and making sure that I'm not constantly changing or constantly pursuing the carrot on the stick, because there's always going to be shiny and shinier things. But I hope I'm resilient and carrying the values upon, you know, building a career. And I'd like to really challenge the status quo of the traditional path. For example, you know, like if I'm having, I feel like I'm repeating myself, but if I'm in college and I'm pursuing a certain major, that major doesn't have to dictate over what you do in the long run. It's okay to change. And I've seen people, like colleagues, who have it all figured out. For example, like if you're into medicine, that you're meant to be a doctor and you might have strong convictions, and specialization is rewarded by society. But I also want to encourage that that's not the entire world. That's, of course, yeah, you could get very far in your career, you can build that security, but you also have to recognize there's opportunities of looking at the world in different lenses, through different domains, and I don't think that gets shed light upon because the importance of specialization is so strong. But I'd like to be open to constructing a career that incentivizes learning and growing.
Hey, so my camera died in one of the segments, so I'm creating this to finish out my reflections and yeah, finish out my reflections. So before I do so, in earlier segment I stated that you have to surround yourself with smart and ambitious people. I kind of want to dive a little bit deeper into the reasoning why and what I mean by, you know, smart and ambitious people. So smart and ambitious, I also relate that synonymously with intelligence, and I define intelligence as someone who's intelligent as someone who is very able to adapt to their environment. And then I guess the current modern world, it requires certain specific knowledge that they're able to utilize at their disposal to figure out a certain problem or challenge. And this will be greatly beneficial to you, because if you're surrounding yourself in an environment where everyone's adapting, then you're going to get there quicker and quicker. So for example, if I wanted to become a teacher, I would position myself in an environment where sharing information is almost a standard, because then we're using kind of like the Feynman technique as a base of articulating ourselves and our thoughts and expressing ourselves. That will create a kind of a self-reinforcing feedback loop where everybody is able to become better. Or another environment would be where working hard is the standard. It's kind of what we're creating within our community on this on YouTube platform, on Discord, and through the different projects that we're currently embarking upon. And we know the accountability system that we're kind of creating through each other is super beneficial for all of us. So I think that's why it's super important that you have to surround yourself. And of course, that also comes with a lot of responsibility, because you have to carry your own load as well, do your duty. But I think that also gives you a lot of meaning. And yeah, I believe Tony Robbins also stated this, is you have to surround yourself with I'm blanking out on the quote. Give me 1 second. Okay, so I found the quote. It's proximity is power. If you want to have an extraordinary life, surround yourself with people who make you better. And there's other quotes you guys probably heard. It says, surround yourself with people you want to become. I think we just stated that. It's a little bit late over here. Another quote is, show me your friends and I'll show you who you are. And yeah, it's just along the same lines. I think that's absolutely true. And on that basis, I also want to talk a little bit more about careers. So, most people have jobs, they don't really have careers. Jobs is a certain task for a means to an end. So, for example, my task is to deliver, let's say, 5 pages worth of work to my client, and that is my job. But a career, how it differs is it's a set of jobs that you have within a set period of time, which includes fulfillment. So it's like a collection of jobs which you voluntarily partake upon throughout the course of your life. And there's a book called The 80,000 Hours, which I read a couple months ago, and I want to create a presentation based upon this, but we spend majority of our adult life within our work, and thus I think it's so important that we curate and design a life and architect our life how we want to. And of course that may seem such a privilege or luxury, but I know that it's definitely possible from the examples of people going through different jobs, recognizing that's not the life that they want to live, or even taking sacrifices in early of their career so that they could construct a career that they really want to. But yeah, for me personally, I would love to create some type of business which allows me to work with people that I enjoy. For example, if I meet really cool people on the internet and that I could bring them on board into making some type of impact, we could actually value those metrics of impact. I think that would be so fulfilling for me. And yeah, those are just some, I guess, like ideas that I have. Of course, it requires a lot of different skill sets and such on, but I think that's something that really interests me. And yeah, I don't like kind of confining myself to the traditional path, although I think I could definitely learn a lot. So I will be sharing kind of what path that I take, and these are just not these are firm beliefs that I think I have. It still needs to be tested. I probably have to years and years of experience down the line, but yeah, those are some reflections that I currently have. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Yeah, I'm not really documenting or doing as many lives as I used to because of the dynamics of kind of my environment. For example, I have to be in school on Mondays and Wednesdays almost the whole day because my classes are kind of separated. It takes me around 20 to 40 minutes to go to school. So it would be a little foolish if I, came back for that gap. But still, despite that, I want to be able to get out of my comfort zone in terms of just having more conversations and kind of documenting that. But I'm not sure how open people are, and I of course respect everyone's privacy. So maybe it'll just be me somehow making it all work. But yeah, I'm glad for the journey, for the lessons, for the various of opportunities, for people pursuing their dreams. And I also want to encourage people who are not, because I've also been there. And I recognize, how lonely the path seems at times. But you're not alone. There's millions of people facing the same challenges, going through the path. And as long as you have strength, conviction, and faith, then the light will be bright. But yeah, with that, that's my little reflection, and I hope to check back in next month which is in a couple of days. We're doing meditation for an hour for around 30 days. So that's also going to be exciting. With that said, thanks for listening, and I'll catch you in a little bit. All right. Take care. Peace.